in Nigeria is a big deal. Being a sane youth is an impossible task because you can already see how from nursery school the suffering has already started. So imagine being a youth in this country. A round of applause for yourselves. I'll give you a minute. A round of applause for me too. So you are done with SS3. Everyone's excited. WAEC and NECO, you made all A's, maybe few B's, and just a sprinkle of C in chemistry because you didn't like the teacher very much. Also, and so okay, it's time for the big deal for most people. It's time for the big deal. It's time for university. University is the biggest deal in Nigeria. I'm saying the biggest deal because polytechnics are cool, but if you tell someone you've gone to a Nigerian university is a big deal. So let's go ahead. So, and you're excited, you're coming with this feeling of, oh, if I could ace my WAEC and NECO papers without help, then I could ace my JAMB and I could also ace my pursuit TME, and then of course I could get an admission if all things go well. But the element of surprise that Nigeria always seems to throw you with is just right at the door knocking and is waiting for you. It's like, what is this one thinking? And then we back ourselves with Bible verses of favor and of grace and of mercy. Very important. You have to be on the good book of the law side, to get admission. But anyway, so you've gone for midweek services, you've talked with your friends, your mother has prayed for you, so has your father. They've supported you in every way they can as very loyal Nigerian parents. But then the authorities, they surprise you the first year, you don't get admission. And you're looking at your score and you're looking at the dashboard and you're looking at your score and you mutter to yourself, impossible. I did everything. But it's just, one of the many elements of surprise that is going to Nigeria is going to throw at your face. So you cry because your mates are going forward. Is it only you? What is this delay? Which kind of delay be this? In essence, what is this delay? Which kind of delay be this? Which kind of wahala? My village people have come and all of these things. But it's not even about you or how well you do or how God is so merciful. It's just that the system is not the best. And I have to be very careful, with my words. The system is not the best. It doesn't reward the diligent always. It doesn't always reward the diligent. So you've suffered from nursery, primary, you face school fees drive, you face the humiliation it comes with, you're finally out of that struggle. And then university comes and you can't even go in. You're one leg in, one leg out. And that phase is a weird phase to be in. But I can understand it's a weird phase to be in. I never experienced it because from secondary school I immediately got into university. But even when you do get into the university, there's ASU strike. But that is a thing of another day. There's ASU strike. But yeah, in between finishing secondary school, which is a big deal by the way, congratulations to all those who have. It's not easy, especially from a low income household and a federal or government school. So in between finishing secondary school and not getting into university because JAM decided to jam you, as they say, you are stuck. What can I learn now? What is my life? Is my life over? So the popular things to learn would likely be maybe tailoring or carpentry or mechanic work, or like most women do learn, baking. And very few men. And so you're in that space and everybody's asking you, very, very nosy Nigerian aunties and uncles that act like they've been here for just 2 minutes. They act like they don't know how Nigeria can Nigeria. So they begin to ask you questions. You never enter school. That is, you've not been admitted. You never enter school. But you finished secondary school last year now. And you're just there, very awkward, scratching your head. Gen Z, you're wondering why this woman will not just focus on her home, and you're tempted to not tell her that you saw her husband last night at Room Okoroba. So a lot of things go through your mind at this point. You're like, should I tell her so she can maybe shut up and go cry? Or should I ignore? Or should I just be nice and ask her a question and be honest? And oh my gosh, do not dare be honest with a lot of African elders, because that honesty will enter finish and will enter gossip and will enter church gossip, and pastor is going to use your name to preach eventually. So you're stuck there, and finally the awkward phase is over and you go home and you are sad, and somehow maybe you even have access to the internet. God bless you. God bless your soul so much that you do have access to the internet. You start to strive to make little things, not because obviously you need the money, but because a lot of parents at that point are already giving their children hits and still saying it's because you did not do well, maybe you did not pray enough, that's why. So that pressure to also leave their sites and that pressure to also do something good for yourself is lingering. It's a very complicated situation to be in Nigeria. It's so it is almost unforgivable when we begin to treat those people like they are rags, and when parents begin to blame the children like they have not been in Nigeria their whole life. I mean, if things worked for them in Nigeria, they would have maybe had two houses, but no, 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 no. They don't have two houses, they don't even have a car, but somehow their child is the one that's supposed to somehow magically transform this low income household stroke Nigeria wahala. So that is what we face, and this is the story for many. This is the typical Nigerian life. This is the typical life of a Nigerian youth. And somehow, if the person is resilient enough and God is so willing to bless them, they break out, maybe even get into the university. But into the university, there's ASU strike. Let's not even talk about lecturers' behavior towards children that are trying their best, the expulsion and all of that. But somehow we break out of the university and somehow we get skills, to make. And don't forget, our dreams are on the line, and slowly dying because we've looked around, and I mean, we already know the concept of man no man. That is, someone is going to only give you a job if they know your family well and if your family is respected. So you're trying to be diligent, but you're also having it at the back of your mind that this diligence at what cost. So you're also trying to pray as you're trying to be diligent. So God will shower his grace, mercy, and love upon you, and you shall be graced, and you're going to go into the workforce, and all those prayers. And Nigeria a lot of times just has a way of destroying your efforts. But somehow things work out well. For the typical Nigerians, things sometimes work out well, and the trade begins to pay, and the see finish from parents begin to drop, and you try and you try and you try, and most times they go get masters and become professors and become these angry professors, and the cycle continues, and they ask you, do you know who I am? And this was someone that was punished in senior secondary, now becoming the person, do you know who I am person, the person that would rather shout at a polite girl that is just trying her best to say, please don't speak to me that way, but will say yes sir to a man that is abusing him, but he has to say yes sir because his thesis has to be approved to be a professor. Do you know what it means to be a professor in a Nigerian university? It's a big deal. It's a really big deal, because it's not an easy place to pass. So the victim becomes the abuser, and it just goes on and it just goes on, because the system is not even set up for you to be soft. So let's try to be, let's try. It's not easy, okay? Me saying let's try does not mean I'm some kind of golden Mary that rubs everybody's head. I do have my shortcomings as well, and I have stepped on many toes, you know. I mean, if I was a surgeon, I would be fixing a lot of toes that I have stepped on. So, but even when we err, let's learn to apologize. Let's learn to also ask for forgiveness. Let's learn to be open about our shortcomings. Maybe that way we can help each other. Maybe some people will say, see it and say, "Oh, it's wishful thinking. Why are you even talking about these things?" But it's better we talk, or else it's going to choke us here. So it's better we do talk. So this is what the a lot of times the Nigerian setup just does to youths. And we hope there's a change in the nearest future. We hope there is. You know, cup of Gary used to be 3 naira in when was that? I don't remember. But now a rubber of Gary is 2,250 or 24. 2,000. Do you know what it means to be 2,000? That's I'm bringing 2,000 stones. But because it's flat currency, we don't really think it's a big deal. I mean, but the Lord will help us as always. GCK.